Today we're going to be working and trying out all of these Bosch tools. This is Bosch's 10-piece 18V combo kit that I did get a few weeks ago. I've been really keen to try these out, and we've got a few different tasks today where we can use these tools. The only problem with today is that it's going to be raining almost non-stop all day. That's why we've got the shelter built here, hopefully keep all the tools dry that we're not using. And we're going to see how we go. Hopefully we can get most of the work done today, and if the rain stays like this, it's not too bad. Alright, so the first job we're going to do is go through and put in all these dyno bolts. So for that, we're obviously testing the drill to go through and pre-drill all the timber. Then we'll be testing the hammer drill. This thing's called the Bosch hammer, and it feels like it's powerful. I reckon this is going to be a wicked tool. But the one tool I'm most excited to play around with from Bosch is the impact driver / impact wrench. You can see that's an impact wrench there. We can put our socket bits straight on the outside of that. But if we turn it around, we can see it's also hollow in the middle. And we can put all our driver bits in there as well. So even though this is a 10-piece combo kit, this impact driver does double up as an impact wrench, so you almost get 11 tools with the kit. We'll do all of the dyno bolts though, and we're going to see how powerful this is as an impact wrench. We've got no speed settings, no separate gears, it's just got the one mode, and we'll see if it's good enough to use as an impact wrench. Feels really good. I mean, that's the first test we've done. We'll keep using it and see how it goes. One thing I can comment on though is if you were using this impact driver for a fit off and you're doing door handles and more delicate screws that you don't want a lot of pressure on, it is nice when you have the models where you can change your gears and have the impact driver working a lot slower, so you're not going to strip the screws. Obviously you can get the touch of it and just slightly press the trigger. And if you slightly press it, it's going to barely move, so you can get away with it, but there's obviously a lot more room for error. If you accidentally press down on that trigger, you can strip the screws. Alright, the rain's getting pretty heavy and consistent, so I have to switch to the GoPro. And since obviously I want to keep the tools dry as well, the way I'm going to do this is just use one tool at a time. So the hammer drill and the impact wrench are undercover right now. And when I work, I'll just make sure I position my body over the tool so that the tool stays dry when we use it. The rain started to get a bit heavier, so we just jumped into the car for a second. One thing I want to talk about though are the actual dyno bolts we're using. Every time I install dyno bolts, I get a few comments calling me out for not using a washer. The reason for that is if I unscrew the head of the bolt, so these are the nuts that we use for the dyno bolt, and you can see there's an inbuilt washer. These are called a flange heads, and it's basically a small washer built into the nut, so you don't need to use a bigger washer. I've just pulled up the rain radar to see what's going on. I don't even need to tell you where we are. It doesn't matter where we are. Everywhere here is getting hit with rain. Let's zoom out a little bit. It is just one big band that is eventually going to come to an end. That's good news at least, but it looks like it might be a couple hours until that rain's done. So we might need to suck it up and just keep going in the rain. This is the second time this has happened. We've just lost all power. Alright, this time the battery's flat, which seemed like it died pretty quick. The first time the battery wasn't flat, I think it just overheated really quickly. Alright, so this battery's been charging all morning. What I might do is actually count how many holes we can drill before the battery becomes flat again. Either becomes flat or overheats and doesn't work. In terms of the design of this hammer drill, you've probably noticed when I'm using it, I'm not using both handles. It's a bit awkward if I'm trying to like squat down and get power if I'm using both handles. So I'm holding both hands, well, one hand on the trigger and one hand on the battery. This setup is gonna be perfect when I'm actually trying to use it and put my weight behind it to go into walls. In terms of even trying to drill up into the roof, or in this case down into the ground, this model isn't the best. It's completely fine with the way I'm holding it on the back here. The one thing I'm worried about though is if it does kick and get stuck. This is a look at what you get a lot of other rotary hammers looking like. This is a bit more of an expensive Bosch rotary hammer drill, and you can see it's more compact, meaning that both handles are closer together, and that's ideal for when I'm trying to squat down and drill into the ground. Another thing I'm actually curious about, and I'm trying to find it now on my phone, is I want to know what the IP rating are for these tools. When I've been working, I have been keeping my body over it to try to keep it as dry as possible, but I do want to find what the IP rating is. Obviously, drilling into concrete, there's going to get dust on the tool, so it needs to be covered for dust. But I do want to know if it is able to withstand a few drops of water, or if it can actually get fairly wet and still work. This is it. Hang on, that's called the Bulldog. Oh yeah, it's a Bosch hammer Bulldog. I think Bosch hammer is what they call all of the rotary hammers. This one's called the Bulldog though. I completely missed that before. So does this have some specs on the Bulldog? It actually gives us nothing. It doesn't say anything there about whether we can use these tools in any sort of water or dust at all. I'm gonna have a look at the drill. Let's see if it's got anything here. And I can't see anything on the drill as well. Let's have a look at some of these other tools. I've got some DeWalt Hikoki and AEG here. Maybe tools here just don't do IP ratings at all. Hikoki as well has nothing. Yeah, that's interesting. So tools don't have an IP rating at all. Here we go, Hikoki's come up with an IP56. Yeah, so Hikoki tools are protected against powerful jets from any direction. I really want to find out about Bosch before I continue, because I've been really focused on keeping the back of this tool here dry. I've never noticed this in any other tool before, but you can easily look through, but you can easily see into the tool there, and there's a lot of wires and cables just showing. I know we're meant to be looking at Bosch today, but that's huge for Hikoki that they actually can be used outside in the rain. DeWalt say you can't use the tools outside in the rain at all. So that's definitely good points for Hikoki there. Once the rain hits and I go back into my car, we'll do some more research into Bosch and see what we can actually do with these tools. There's no way that it's just died. That's completely flat. Let's take her off and on, just to make sure. I've got nothing. That is really bad for Bosch. We've done 3 holes there, and on this side, that's 4, 5, and 6, 7. I think we were up to those holes when we started. That's 7 holes we've just done with the rotary hammer before that battery died. And you saw that battery was fully charged before we started, and it's completely dead there. We've done no more than 7 holes. So in that time, the other battery we put on charge hasn't even charged enough to use it and replace it. It's got no charge in it at all. This 10-piece combo kit came with 3 batteries. We'll charge them up and we'll test them with other tools. Maybe the rotary hammer just takes a lot of charge and the batteries can't keep up with it. But that's a really bad sign from that battery power. If all tools are dying that quickly, there's no way you can actually work a full day if you're constantly changing those batteries over. What I might do is get another branded hammer drill out, drill all these holes with that other hammer drill. We'll let the batteries charge up a bit, and then we'll just keep testing the other tools. Actually, I did completely forget, we did already test Bosch's batteries with the saws and the impact drivers when I did that big head-to-head video, and they weren't horrible there. So maybe the rotary hammer just takes off way too much power. It's actually good that we get to use this too. I've never used it before. I didn't have any jobs to use it when I did the day in a life working with Hikoki, so we'll give it a try now for the first time. And even better, because now we do know that it is IP rated to 56, so we can use it in the rain. I think I owe Bosch an apology. Hikoki is also dead. I don't know if this was fully charged, but it was on full bars anyway. We got about 10 or 11 holes done. So I'm going to take back what I said about Bosch. I think the batteries are fine. It's probably the bit we're using. It's just way too blunt, and it's taking a lot out of the batteries to get these holes done. I'm quite impressed by this so far. It's done pretty well. Alright, so I did a bit more research into the Bosch tools and I couldn't see anything saying that I can use it if it's light rain. I've packed everything up. It's kind of stopped raining now and I looked at the forecast and I think the rest of the afternoon is going to be pretty good. But I've called it already. I've packed everything up and I'm just going to come back here tomorrow morning and we'll keep on testing these tools and finish off the last few jobs we've got to do, which is just framing some outriggers up there. Alright, so we're going to try out the saw and the reset. I'm looking at the saw now and I didn't realise there's actually no rafter hook on the saw. And for a small 18V saw, I'd definitely be wanting to use this on the roof. So that, yeah, that definitely loses points. Apart from the rafter hook on that saw, it's actually really good. It's a nice lightweight saw, nice and compact. The recip, it's a bit bulky for an 18V recip, definitely a bit bigger than, yeah, DeWalt, Makita's, Milwaukee's 18V recips. Definitely bulky up here, so we'll see how it goes. For the test I have already run on this recip, it seems to be a bit slow. What we're going to be doing now though to test these tools out is we're going to be mimicking the roof that we've done over there. So we've got an end rafter here. I've got the first slot marked in here already. And what we're going to do is cut through there and run an outrigger butting into this rafter, sticking out 600mm past the frame. It's going to be a really good test for the 18V saw because I'm going to try to work in a few awkward spots, try to cut down, stretching up above my head, away from my body. Do you even feel that, Mitch? Just, I want your opinion on what you think about just holding the saw.
It is on the heavier side.
You reckon?
Yeah, I reckon it's heavier.
Have another feel? I reckon you're wrong. Like, honestly, like, I could be wrong here. Let's get your Makita out. Is it out right now?
Yeah, it's in my bag.
Let's do this. When we jump down, let's hold both saws at the same time.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty light, to be honest. What we might do you want to grab your Pazzy? Yep. There you go. Nails, yep. What we might do, grab the other side of this timber here. And we'll just shoot this to the underside of the rafter so that once we do cut these slots, the rafter isn't going to fall. So just shoot,
around here.
Yep. And I'll do one up here and then, or one in there and one up there. Cuts through like butter. You really like notice every small detail when you are like stretching up over stuff in an awkward position. I mean, that safety's a little bit fiddly. It's nothing too bad. I want to jump down and measure this. I feel like the base plate for the saw sticks out further than other models. And that becomes an issue when we are doing stuff like this where we're starting to cut and we're cutting as far as we can, but then the saw is going to butt into this timber here. What I might do, Mitch, while we're here, I'm going to pass up an AEG Hikoki and your Makita saw. We got 3 other saws here today, and I want to check all of those saws to see if we can actually go further through with the cut, because there's going to be a lot of times when you are using a saw in a roof or in a tight space where there might be some awkward spots where you're going to start the cut and finish it off with the recip. So it is a bit annoying if that can only go through half of that timber and it's, yeah, sticks out a bit too much. Nah, dude, I reckon that's definitely lighter than all of these saws. Yeah, I was actually surprised you said that. I feel like that's one of the lighter saws I've picked up. I'll let you compare the two. Let me know if, like, maybe I'm just tripping out. Let me know if you change your opinion on it. Alright, so those blades, I think, are lined up pretty well with each other there. And we can see that Bosch's guard does stick forward a lot more. I mean, if I did grab this Makita saw, I can put it in here and cut further. So that's Bosch there, and that's Makita, and I think DeWalt and Hikoki are both pretty similar to that. It's not the biggest difference, but it's just those small little 1%ers that we're going to be looking at when we're trying to review all these tools. So right now I've put them in the order on where I think they lay in terms of weight, being the heaviest to the lightest. So I think Bosch is actually the lightest saw. Let me know if you disagree. So yeah, 36V, that's definitely going to be pretty heavy.
Yeah.
I'm not completely sold on those two. They could potentially change.
I reckon these two could switch.
Oh, you reckon AEG's lighter than Bosch?
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think the thing that's tricking me with Bosch is because it looks bigger. I think because it's longer, sorry. The AEG and Makita, all those saws, they're wider. The way this has been built, it's longer instead of wider. So when I look at it, I think I'm expecting more weight. So when I pick it up, it feels lighter than what I'm expecting. So you're right, maybe they could switch. I mean, the fact that they're all so close that we can't distinctly tell which one's heavier, it says a lot. They're all close enough, there's no big differences. It's going to be a bit of a play around. She's got no guts. It's a fairly new blade, only used it a few times. Yeah, she's got no guts at all, which is disappointing. Obviously, like, she's gonna cut, she's gonna do the job. That is quite slow. One thing I do want to test with it, do you know if you got any concrete screws, not Dynabots? Even if we have one, because I think that's going to be a really good test. Dynabots, like, it's going to obviously tighten it to a point. Concrete screws, though, where it actually has to drive the screw into the concrete. That's going to really test to see how good this is. Alright, that's definitely good that it can drive the 75mm concrete screw in. It'd be super disappointing if it couldn't. Let's see how she goes. So with how it went for the bugle screws, it wasn't the quickest at driving those screws, but now we can kind of see that it does have a bit of torque behind it. So even though it's not super quick at driving your screws, it is doing okay when it comes to driving in these concrete screws though. Not only is this one 50mm longer than the 100mm we just did, both of those screws we just did were 10mm. This one's jumping up to a 12mm screw, so we're going to see if this works. Now look, that definitely did struggle. I had to go back and forth a few times to get it all the way home. But I was honestly not expecting this to be able to drive that screw in, even if we did have to go back and forth a few times. Let's see how it goes. I mean, this should work pretty well. It definitely feels a lot slower than other models I've used. If you're doing like timber battens, which we've done a few times, and you got to go through and screw off every single one, and it takes that long to drive a screw in, this thing just won't cut it. Alright, so I'm going to be marking out for a 190 beam to sit in here, a lintel to sit in here, and then we'll have the chance to try the saw out by ripping some timber, and we'll also do a few angle cuts with the saw too and see how it goes like that. I love this handle, but visibility actually gets quite hard to see past that handle to try to see in there to see where the blade's hitting. I think like most saws though, you'll just eventually get used to how this saw's built, and I'll eventually get used to where I need to stand to see that blade. That's good as well. Some saws, when you cut at an angle like that, your saw guard gets stuck and it doesn't automatically pull up, and you really got to fiddle around with it. That came up effortlessly, I didn't even notice it then. So that's great points for Bosch. Let's just finish this off. Alright, so I'm going to cut this at 27 degrees. So I'm going to have a go cutting a bevel with the saw. Firstly, I do really like how it's marked at the front there. Really easy to read, really neat. Let's adjust that to 25, 27, about right there. That locks in really well. I do like how that's presented. And that was long point that you gave me, Mitch.
Oh, yeah.
Too easy. Let's see how this goes. Again, I'm on my left side of my body now, and I'm finding it very awkward to like find a perfect place to really sight that saw blade. I either have to stand like this all the way down here, or really lean over and make sure my jumper strings don't get caught up in the blade. Look, apart from the issues trying to see the blade, that cut perfectly. I'm really liking the saw, to be honest. It's winning a lot of points. Right, so the Bosch tools we have been using today are from this 10-piece combo kit I've recently got. One thing we never got the chance to use was this Bosch grinder. I've done a bit of testing with it. It's an okay tool, nothing special, and I hate the little tab, the little flip switch on the side here. Another tool, and I want to get Mitch's impression on this as well. Do you have a quick second, Mitch? This is Bosch's orbital sander. We're framing today, there's no jobs at all where we can use this. But just holding it and turning it on, this is like the best feeling orbital sander I've ever held in my life. I will jump up with you, I'll help you put that beam in too. Just hold it, turn it on, feel the vibration. I'd love to know your thoughts on this.
It's like none. Doesn't sound like it's got a lot of grunt, does it?
Yeah, now that you say that, like even before turning it on, I was just really stoked with how it feels. There's no vibration, but you're right. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of grunt there.
No.
It should still do enough, do the job. But yeah, I would have preferred a bit more power in that. I just can't get over how well they've done this handle. Just being able to hold that. Just imagining doing architraves over your head. This is one tool where I feel like it's got no weight to it either. Easy to hold. Most orbital sanders are quite awkward to hold up there, so I think I've done that one really well. Yeah, we got a little bag to sit on that too, which is really good. Yeah, sweet as. That's come up pretty well. Little beam for the outriggers. Right, the rain started to hit. It's been off and on all morning, but now it's about to get really bad for the rest of the day. So I'm gonna chuck all the tools away. I don't want to be using them all in the wet. We went through most of the tools in that 10-piece combo kit. Got a really good feel for those Bosch tools. Overall, I wouldn't say they're the best tools in the market, but they do have some pretty cool features on some of their tools. Saw, I love it. That dual impact driver and impact wrench is awesome. And I've also used some of the other tools about a year ago, the multi-tool and a bigger grinder. I don't have them today, they're not on that kit, but a few of those other tools they make have been some of the best tools I've ever used. So I'm loving the way Bosch are going with the tools. I feel like they're making more and more tools, making them better and better. And I don't think it's going to be long before we start seeing a lot more Bosch tools on the work sites.